There are moments in crime history when the unthinkable happens. Moments when darkness tightens its grip, and then against every odd, light breaks through. This is the case in January of 2007, a quiet apartment on St. Louis Avenue. It held the one thing Missouri had been begging for: a miracle. Two boys were found that day, one who'd been missing for 4 days, the other for more than 4 years, discovered alive. Today, we're diving into one of the most extraordinary recoveries in modern American history: the abduction and rescue of Shawn Hornbeck and Ben Ownby. Welcome to Missouri Mayhem, Mystery, and Murder. I'm Megan.
And I'm Mindy. Thank you all of our listeners. We appreciate all of you today. Today's case is going to be a good one with a happy ending for a change.
I know. I think we need a happy
We
ending.
do.
There's definitely some mayhem in this, but it does have a happy ending. And thank you to Terry for the case recommendation. He saw this somewhere like a while back and was like, "Do you remember this?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I do remember this." So this is taking place in the St. Louis area. And again, we're talking about the year 2007, which I think we may have had a couple cases in this year before. Um, in 2007, Steve Jobs unveiled the first iPhone. Isn't
Mhm.
that crazy? Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows hit shelves. Movies like Spider-Man 3, Pirates of the Caribbean were kind of ruling the box office. We were still deep in the Iraq War, and sadly that year we also had I don't know if you remember the Virginia
I
Tech
do remember
shooting.
that.
Yeah. In Missouri, it was kind of a wild year for weather. We had some flooding that spring. We had a big outbreak of tornadoes in October, and we ended with had an ice storm as well.
Yeah.
So, sound like Missouri was crazy
Yeah.
weather-wise. Can you think back, what were you doing in 2007?
In 2007, I just started teaching and I was struggling.
Oh, was that, like, your first year teaching?
Yep, that was my first year teaching and
Oh
it
my
was just
gosh.
hard.
Yes, stressful.
So, yeah.
Well, Missouri, of course, as we know with our cases here, is no stranger to tragedy. We've got rural communities here, tight knit towns, and a lot of those can hold secrets, and sometimes they're scary and heartbreaking. This story, though, is going to begin in a town I'd never heard of: Richwoods, Missouri. Had you ever heard of?
No, I
I
have
know.
not.
Richwoods, Missouri. It's actually a little quiet, wooded area town in Washington County, Missouri. It's just south of St. Louis near Potosi, St. Clair. I think it's about probably a 4.5 hour drive from Kansas City. But Richwoods, Missouri is kind of like every little hometown in America, the kind of place where kids ride their bikes to their friends' houses, where neighbors wave, look out for each other, traditional town. This story ends in 2007, but let's go back to where it all started about 5 years before, about 4.5 years before, October of 2002. Okay. So on that fall day, 11-year-old Shawn Hornbeck left his house to ride his lime green bike to a friend's house. And this was something he'd done many times, um, over and over. And this was same typical day. But unfortunately, Shawn never arrived at the friend's house. And to me, this is like one of the biggest fears ever. You give your kid a little bit of
Freedom.
freedom, and then sadly
Yeah.
something happens. It's awful. So his mom knew right away. Her name's Pam Akers, and she knew right away that something was wrong. Obviously, he didn't show up at the friend's house, and then when he didn't show back home, she said, "I knew something was wrong the minute he didn't come home because Shawn always checked in,
Yeah.
always." And deputies arrived within hours, which I found kind of impressive. Like, they started looking for him very quickly. They didn't, wait the 24 hours because, again, he's 11 years
Yeah.
old. They arrived within hours. Volunteers formed search grids. They looked all over. I mean, we're talking about a pretty wooded area, too. Hundreds of people came out, walked, looking, but no sign of Shawn. So, again, parents' biggest nightmare. Pam and her husband, Craig, so I'm thinking this might be a step dad to Shawn. His last name's Hornbeck. But Pam and her husband, Craig, they were not waiting. They're like, "We are launching into action immediately." Craig said, "We made a promise that we would search every day until Shawn came home, and they really meant that. They're like, "We are doing this. Every day, we're gonna do something to try and find him." They rallied, the community rallied around them, flyers were put out, media stations broadcast his photo, they had search dogs, ATVs, helicopters, and yeah, every lead, though, they would get is just a dead end.
Dead end, yeah.
Yeah, and so it sounds like, I mean, they really took it seriously. This isn't a case of, like, delayed police response, you know?
No.
They took it seriously. So in this time that he's missing, which we're gonna find out is years, they were so desperate, Pam and Craig, and they ended up founding the Shawn Hornbeck Foundation to help support other families of missing children. So not only were they trying to find their own son for years, they were trying to help other people.
Yeah.
And yes. And for years, sightings would trickle in. Somebody said, I thought I saw him in Arizona. I thought I saw him in Canada. Someone claimed to see him locally at a mall. Well, they couldn't find anything to back that up. A psychic claimed that Shawn was in a rural shack somewhere. Well,
And that would be so hard because you would want to investigate every single one of those, like, could it maybe they're
yes.
right, maybe
Yeah.
they are there.
And this last one to me is the worst. They had a psychic on the Montel Williams show. Remember that show?
Mhm.
On that told Pam and Craig that they believed Shawn was dead.
Ugh.
I mean, what do you think of what are your thoughts on that? Uh, who has the right to make that statement?
Well, unless you have his body in your hands, I wouldn't think you would make a statement like that,
Yeah,
unless you absolutely knew for sure.
and what I'd read that was very hard
Yeah.
on his parents. Pam later said, "Every time the phone rang, we hoped it was a tip, the one that would bring him home." What they didn't know, and what's crazy, is that Shawn has been living only 60 miles away this whole time.
Oh, wow.
Thank God he's living
Yeah.
in an apartment in Kirkwood, Missouri, under the control of a man by the name of Michael J. Devlin, or
Okay.
the devil.
Yeah, right?
So here's what investigators later pieced together when it came to Shawn's abduction. They said he was riding his bike to his friend's house when a white truck forced him off the road. The man that got out, again, was 38-year-old Michael Devlin, and he was just an unassuming manager of a local Emo's Pizza, which makes me mad because I love Emo's Pizza.
Danny worked there.
um, Even scarier, no criminal record, not a known history of any kind, no warning signs. People just said he was a nice, quiet guy.
Mhm.
So that's scary to me. Like, what makes someone
Yeah.
snap? So here's some mayhem for sure. So proceed with caution. They said he approached Shawn, pretended to like ask him a question, and then attacked him. They said Devlin later admitted, I just snapped. He threatened the boy, strangled him to the point of unconsciousness, and then took him to the apartment. For the next 4 years, Shawn lived a terrifying and complicated life with Michael. It was a mixture of captivity and what he called conditional freedom.
And, you hear stories about this and you're like, "How did he not get away?" Like, you think, "If that were me, I would find a way to get away," you know?
Well, we're going to find out in a second. He has many opportunities to get away, but we're going to find out why he doesn't, or at least a little insight into that. So here are a few these some of these are horrific details. So again, mayhem. According to Shawn, he was basically sexually assaulted by this man on a daily basis. And you figure he was 11
Ugh.
to 15 when he was in his captivity. I mean, those are very much developmental
Mhm.
years. Not long after he was abducted, and here's what might be the reason why he didn't run. Devlin tried to strangle Shawn again and basically said, gonna kill you. And in the midst of this, Shawn's begging for his life. And he's like, I won't ever leave. I won't ever tell anyone. Please don't. Please don't. And so that is why they think. And again, he's 11 when he's
So
kidnapped.
he's like, "I promise you I won't say anything, just
Just
don't
don't
kill
kill me.
me."
Yes. So, I mean, that's a lot for an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
He was given a new name, Shawn Devlin. And he was allowed to make friends with a neighbor boy who was around his age. And he would have to tell anyone, of course, he met that Devlin was his father. But when neighbors were asked, they said they thought he was a great dad who gave Shawn everything he wanted.
Ugh.
I know. Isn't it crazy how you just don't know what's happening behind
No,
closed
you
doors?
don't.
So one day while at this neighbor kid's house, they see a news segment come on about Shawn Hornbeck's kidnapping. And the mom says, "Oh my gosh, I think he looks like you kind of. That's crazy."
Oh my god.
Yeah, and Shawn says, "Nope, I'm Shawn Devlin."
Oh, he been brainwashed?
Yes, he's totally
Oh,
I mean,
completely
well, he's just
brainwashed.
scared to death, I think at this point. He's being tormented every day.
Scared he's gonna die.
Yes. They said he walked in public. He went to the mall on a couple occasions where someone claimed to see him,
Ugh.
but the police could never verify that. So it sounds like that tip might have been true.
Mhm.
Um, he would play video games. He even visited other acquaintances that Devlin knew and pretended to be like this son. People later recalled seeing Shawn, but never realized anything was even wrong. One neighbor said he was shy, but nothing about him said, like, "I'm in trouble, help me." Like, nothing.
Yeah.
Because how awful to think you were a neighbor living next to him for 4 years and he was a kidnapped kid.
Oh my god.
So investigators later explained that Shawn showed signs, this is also something, of what's called trauma bonding. And that's a survival response. And for those that don't know, and
Oh,
I looked this up, but trauma bonding is a strong emotional attachment that victims form with their abusers. And it basically results in like a pattern or a cycle of abuse, manipulation, and then what they call positive reinforcement. Like, I'm sorry, I won't do it again, or showing affection.
yeah.
Um, and it makes it really hard for the person to leave because they get
They
in
create
this
a bond.
yeah, they get in this bond and they're then confused. They feel like they have loyalty. Sometimes they are given a false sense of hope or
A new
love,
name.
a new name. Yes. Yes, did have many opportunities to run. But again, he was manipulated into believing that if he escaped, he would
Hmm.
die. Shawn said after his rescue, "I didn't know if I was going to make it out of this alive. I didn't know what he'd do." So
Yeah.
he was scared to death. Okay, so Shawn's been in captivity now about 4 years, a
Okay.
little over. Okay, so this we go from 2002. Now we're gonna fast forward to January 8th, 2007.
Okay.
And this time we're in a little town, again, close to St. Louis called, I don't know if it's Beaufort, Missouri or Beaufort, but, or I'm gonna say Beaufort. Beaufort, Missouri, which is also close to St. Louis. So 2007. Just after stepping off the school bus, 13-year-old Ben Ownby started walking home, something had done every day. Moments later, a white pickup truck speeds away and Ben's gone. The only thing, though, problem this time is there is a witness.
Okay.
And not just any witness, but a very reliable witness by the name of Mitchell Holtz. He was a high school student who was on the bus and
Okay.
saw this vehicle. He said it was a white Nissan truck with a camper shell. I got a pretty good look at it. And that detail changed everything, not just for Ben, but we're going to find out for Shawn as well.
Yes.
Now, a big thing that happened with Ben was an Amber Alert was sent out. I don't know that that had been done with Shawn before because I'm not sure when Amber Alerts came out, but this was a big thing. Amber Alert went out, the FBI, Missouri Highway Patrol, Franklin County Sheriff's Office, everybody's mobilized. One lead stood out when they were looking and talking about things to people and around the area. Like, we've got this white Nissan truck with this camper. I mean, the camper part really stuck out.
Yeah.
And really the name that just kept being given to them was a quiet guy named Michael Devlin, who
Uh-huh.
works at Emo's Pizza.
Right.
So, very quickly, um, if not the same day that Ben's taken, the next day, officers go to Emo's Pizza to interview Michael Devlin. And they right away, they're like, something is off.
Not right.
No. Sheriff Gary Tolke later said he was nervous, sweating, and his answers didn't fit.
Ugh.
Detectives then are like, okay, between the description of the vehicle, him acting shady, we're going to go to his home. He's going to take us to his home. So they make Devlin drive to the apartment, or they drive him to his home and make him open the door. And immediately something was off, they said. They look inside. Officers right away see a boy sitting on a futon. He's small, he's frightened, and he looks like Ben Ownby. And finally, after confirming it was him, they're like, "Okay, here's Ben Ownby."
Mhm.
They're like, "We're gonna keep looking in the apartment." And this is when the shock of a lifetime came. Um, One officer then sees another teen peeking from a doorway. The officer says, "What's your name, son?" He said, oh, sorry. He said, "What's your name, son?" And oh no,
The boy hesitated.
I know. Hold on. Sorry, I was on the wrong page. The boy hesitates and then whispers, Shawn Hornbeck.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
they had been looking for this kid for 4 years. And statistics are not good
No.
when
It's bad after a few days.
yeah, they say, like, after 48 hours, 24 hours, 48,
Yeah.
72, like, the chances just go down so much. So I think it was like, "Oh my gosh, we
Mhm.
really found him."
What a miracle.
Yeah, so he's found standing in this apartment, during an investigation where they weren't even looking for him, So it's really amazing. Sheriff Tolke later said it was like time stopped. We couldn't believe what we were seeing. They end up dubbing it, or the media did, the miracle
That's what I just called it.
on St. Louis Avenue. The miracle on St. Louis
Ugh.
Avenue. Now, authorities didn't tell the Akers, Pam, and Craig, Sean's parents, exactly what was going on. They pretty much just said, "You guys need to get to St. Louis." And so Pam and Craig made the drive, they said, in stunned silence. Pam later said, "I was scared to hope. We'd had so many things. After 4 years, we didn't know what we were driving toward." They're like, "We don't, what is this? Is this going to be another lead that's not going to pan out?"
Mhm.
But when Sean walked into the room, they said Pam collapsed, like, into his arms.
I
Craig said
bet.
it was like seeing a ghost come back to
Oh my
life.
goodness. Had they filed him dead?
I don't think they had filed him as deceased yet.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I mean, it sounded like it had kind of become a cold case.
Yeah.
But so the Ownby family reunion, of course, was just as emotional. Ben's dad just kept hugging him, saying, "We're taking you home. We're taking you home." Sadly, though, so it was 4 days total, I guess, between the time
Mhm.
he was kidnapped and Ben was found. Within just the 4 days, he'd already been sexually assaulted. Yeah,
Gosh.
and that's terrible. So, Missouri, of course, was excited about this rescue. News outlets across the country called it one of the most remarkable rescues in decades. But as you can imagine, of course, families are so grateful to have their children back, but they've been through a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
And so,
It's a lot to deal with after
yes,
that.
yes. Um, I mean, who was Michael Devlin? Well, he was described by coworkers as quiet, odd, and kept to himself. Again, no criminal record, no history of violence, nothing that would predict that he's really the monster that he is.
Right.
Um, so let me see here. Prosecutors said basically that Devlin just saw an opportunity. He didn't really plan anything. He just saw an opportunity. And so I think that's what we're finding out too in a lot of these cases is a lot of crimes are crimes of opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, that person's alone. Or
Opportunity.
yeah, opportunity. Oh, that
Opportunity.
person's not paying attention.
Yep. They're
Opportunity.
not aware.
No, yeah. Devlin did plead guilty to 71 charges: kidnapping, armed criminal action, forcible sodomy,
Mm.
and more. Yeah.
Mm.
He did get a good sentence. He received multiple life terms, so he'll never get out of jail.
That's good.
Some say that, this is so sick. Some believe that Devlin picked Sean and Ben because he thought they were much younger than they really were.
Ugh.
He thought, Sean was 11 and they said he looked younger, and Ben was 13 and they said he looked much younger than
Mm.
13. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is a bit of justice or karma. In 2011, while in prison, Devlin was attacked by another inmate with, some say it was a metal rod, some say it was an ice pick
That's what happens to you when you go to prison when you hurt
when
children.
you're a pedophile. Devlin was critically injured but lived. A lot of people again called it karma, and the court simply said this is justice
Yeah,
served.
yeah.
Yeah. Sean
Usually, they don't go after those guys that beat him up either.
No. They're like, "Dude, you deserve it."
Mhm.
Sean returned home quietly. He rarely gives interviews. He's only given a couple. He was kidnapped from age 11 to 15, and those are super, super formative
Yeah.
years for a boy.
Mhm.
He said, "I'm just trying to be normal again and reclaim the boyhood that was stolen." From what I've read, he is married with kids today.
Good.
Yeah, but he's very, very private. Ben also returned to school and tried to rebuild his life, and his family was very protective of him. He also still lives in the St. Louis area, and honestly, that's all I could find about him, which is probably
Yeah.
good. Pam and Craig Akers, they continued to advocate for missing kids as long as they were alive. I did see that Craig passed away in 2019, but their Shawn Hornbeck Foundation helped a lot of people. Again, the boys' lives are very private right now. What we do know is they survived this, they're healing, and of course, they're trying to reclaim
Yeah.
their futures. Um, so the Hornbeck Ownby rescue changed how law enforcement handle missing child cases, which is kind of interesting. It emphasized several things. Well, it emphasized the power of Amber Alerts, that those are a very powerful tool. And basically, from 2022 to 2024, 10 Amber Alerts were issued and all were found safe.
Good.
So that's awesome. Um, the crucial role of witness descriptions. So, when you see something and can give good information on that, interagency cooperation, so different groups working together. It also showed how community involvement and persistence can help, and that even long term missing children can be found.
Yes.
So, in Missouri, as of April 2025, these statistics are scary to me. In Missouri, as of April 25, Missouri has 1,181 active missing cases, so
Wow.
almost 1,200. Of those, 536 are kids
Wow.
and 645 are adults.
Gosh.
About 1,000 people in Missouri go missing every year.
1,000?
Yes, just in Missouri.
Wow.
In the United States, this is scary. Every 40 seconds, a child goes missing.
40 seconds?
Yes, and about 1,000 per day go missing.
Wow.
Isn't that
That's a
wild?
lot of stress.
It's crazy, I think, the number of people that just vanish and are never seen
It is
again.
crazy.
As we said, most
Where do
people
they go?
exactly. As we said, most people believe that within 24 to 48 hours, like, if you don't find a missing child by then, it's very, very hard to
Yeah.
find them,
Yeah.
but this case shows it is possible. One FBI agent said, "This case is a reminder you never stop looking. You
Mhm.
never know." And again, that's kind of why we talk about cases like this, just to shed light on them, to show, there are some that end in miracles and, things that or cases that end with positive,
That's right.
you know? So just wanting to keep those cases out there.
Thank you for joining us on this unforgettable journey into one of Missouri's most miraculous cases: two boys, two families, a community that refused to stop searching, and a rescue that shocked the nation.
If you've been moved by this case or have found this interesting, you can do a couple things. You could go and share Sean and Ben's story and remind people that miracles do happen, or share our podcast. You can support organizations like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I'm not sure the Shawn Hornbeck Foundation is still. I think it has disbanded
Okay.
at this point, but there are lots of organizations out there. Stay alert in your own community. A lot of missing kids are found because normal, everyday people feel like something's off or
Yes.
something's wrong. And if you feel like something's off or something's wrong, report it. Better safe than sorry. You can also follow and subscribe or rate Missouri Mayhem to help us reach more listeners who care about truth and justice and the stories that yeah, shape our state. And then finally, keep these families in your prayers and in your hearts because I'm sure they are continuing to be on a healing journey.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll just say a quick prayer for them really quickly.
Okay.
So, dear Lord, please continue to watch out for Shawn Hornbeck and Ben Ownby and their families and the thousands of missing adults and juveniles that are out there. Please continue to give hope to families and guidance and, yeah, just give hope to those out there who need it. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Join us next time as we continue exploring the dark, twisted, and unbelievable stories hidden in the heart of the Midwest. This is Missouri Mayhem, where the truth is often stranger and scarier than fiction. I'm Mindy.
And I'm Megan. Thank you all so much for listening. YouTube, Patreon, Apple to Spotify. We appreciate all of you. And don't forget, friends, stay safe, stay kind, and stay curious. Missouri, you bring the mystery.
And we'll bring the mayhem.
Peace
Peace
out.
out.